long time since I've had to do that. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. Today we are in the middle, halfway point of the spin-offs of Doctor Who discussion that I'm having this month, and got a very special guest for everyone today. Say hello to the lovely Louise Jameson, obviously who played Leela in the classic era of the show, and still continues to reprise her role as that character on Big Finish today, which is the main topic of conversation for today's episode, the Big Finish spin-offs from Doctor Who. And as per the last couple of months, I am not doing this alone, so say hello to my actual special guest. You love him, you know him, he was here last week, the Soda Man.
I thought you were talking about me when you brought up Leela, because I didn't have the screen up. I was busy putting up last week's episodes. I didn't see it. I quickly clicked and oh, okay.
All right. I thought that would throw you off. I mean, if I get tripped up doing an episode of the show, everyone who's guest starring on the show does, except Louise Jameson, because she's the goddess. Anyway, so speaking of getting tripped up, some of you who have watched last week's episode, which is, as Soda so eloquently mentioned, is currently being uploaded to the channel as we speak. Full disclosure, we are recording all of these episodes ahead of time, so there's no strategy there. But last week we had somewhat of a technical difficulty with the opening segment of the of each episode, the birthday segment, when the websites where I get all these birthdays from literally crashed on all platforms, and the only two birthdays I was able to salvage were of the late great Kate O'Mara and Dudley Simpson. So this week I decided to do something a bit special and just cover all the birthdays for the past 2 weeks, minus those two, because, well, I mean, we already did that. And obviously, this is the largest list of birthdays that we've had ever on the show. And the filtering process, there was like 30 people, and obviously I had to filter a lot of people. And yeah, so I ended up landing in about 11 people. And it was like the filtering, it was one of the toughest filtering sections that I've ever done, because for obvious reasons, there's only so many people you can bring up during this segment. And I kept going through each of these different people. It's like, nope, I can't. I gotta keep that one. It's a companion. Nope, I gotta keep that one. It's the master. Nope, I gotta keep that one. It's the doctor.
And that's the thing. Like, I wanted to ask you, like, how do you? Because you do it every week. How do you determine who to give a shout out? Because I mean, obviously, there's crew and all that stuff. Are you mainly doing it to the people we know, the actors, the directors, that type of stuff?
I mean, obviously, if it's a doctor, companion, or a master, clearly they're on the list. If it's some random dude that did 1 or 2 episodes back in the late 60s, probably not. If it's a crew member we never see, but I mean, they wrote like
they're important
10 episodes, a full season, they were a showrunner at one point, they gotta be there. If it's like a Big Finish guy, but I mean, they've got like 20 plus credits, clearly they've got to be on the show. So yeah. That's just my reasoning is this: how big the person is. And the thing is, a lot of the times, like which was the case with the episode I had with Snark a couple of weeks ago, the person having a birthday coincidentally is directly tied to the topic we're talking about. There were 2 today that I had to leave off because they weren't, big enough to keep on the list. But there's one that I kept here, and I wanted to talk about him. And we'll get to him in a minute, but starting us off, a reminder, we're counting down from the October 4th all the way to the 17th, because it's 2 weeks-ish. And starting us off on October 4th, I apologize again because I forgot his name last week, Daniel Anthony. He played the character Clyde Langer in the Sarah Jane Adventures, and I believe he's also reprising his role for the upcoming Ronnie Chandra spin-off series on Big Finish. we're not going to talk about that one because it hasn't come out yet. It's for early next year on October 5th. This is the guy I wanted to talk about, Phil Cornwell. You're not going to recognize him, but he played the in the Fires of Pompeii. He played that shop owner that sells the TARDIS to Peter Capaldi.
Oh, okay. I actually recognize him. I know that one.
Yeah, the reason he's here is because he actually played a different role on one of the topics we're going to talk about today. So I had to keep him on here.
Nice.
So October 9th, we have several people starting, and this is really funny. I really got a kick out of this.
This is fun. Just before we go ahead, October 9th is A, the birthday of one of my best friends, and B, the birthday of my niece, which was, as we record this, was yesterday.
And it's also the birthday of John Lennon. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
So, yeah, John Lennon did not appear in Doctor Who.
It's John Lennon.
But in the 1965 episode, The Chase, there's a moment when the Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Vicky are just watching some of their favorite moments from history on the Time-Space Visualizer. Barbara...
Okay. Let me guess. The Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show.
No, just... Actually, they might be. I was going to build it up. Barbara wanted to see the William Shakespeare at Queen Elizabeth's court. Ian wanted to see Abraham Lincoln. And Vicky, because she's from the future, she wanted to see the Beatles. And I'm pretty sure they were on the Ed Sullivan Show. I'm pretty sure they used the clip from that.
It would have to, because outside of, like, this is just as a Beatles fan, outside of that, probably their most famous television appearance that they would have used. I'm just actually surprised they didn't use it when they played for the Queen. That actually would have been more appropriate. They actually played for Queen Elizabeth. Yeah.
Again, the clip itself could be from either one. Unfortunately, though, if you go on BritBox and try to watch the episode, like I did a couple of weeks ago, for some reason they just cut that whole part out.
I wonder if it has to do possibly to licensing reasons.
Yeah, that's what I assume. So they kept the Shakespeare and Lincoln stuff there, and when it gets to the Beatles, there's even a moment when Ian starts to dance, and I'm like, what the hell? Why did they cut that off? So if you want to watch the proper version, as sort of continues to remind us all, buy it physically. So aside from John Lennon, we also have on the 9th of October, Mr. James Dreyfus.
He looks familiar.
I don't think you're going to recognize him by his face because he's mainly on Big Finish.
But never mind.
As the first master.
Oh, so basically he took the role for Carlos Delgado.
Roger Delgado, but no.
Oh, Carlos Delgado is a baseball player. Sorry.
Technically speaking, Roger Delgado is the last master. Well, rather, the 13th master.
Oh, the most recent.
As far as generations go, this guy's the first. The one that was with the Doctor in the Academy. The first one to leave Gallifrey.
Oh.
And lose all of his regenerations. So, yeah, this is the first master. And he also played another character that is on another one of these topics that we're going to be discussing today on October 9th. I almost said July 9th because that's my birthday, but October 9th.
Same birthday as my niece's mom.
It's also the Independence Day for Argentina. And so on October 9th, Brian Blessed.
Oh, I love him.
So, yeah, he was in the Trial of a Time Lord segment 2, Mind Warp, and he actually married the Sixth Doctor's companion, Perry Brown, and the actress who played her also has a birthday on October 11th, coincidentally. And they recently did a DVD release video promotion thing where the Doctor was put on trial again, and he's put in a prison cell alongside Nicola Bryant, and he asks her, "What are you in for?" And she's like, "Marrying Bear Brian Blessed."
Okay, so before we move on from him, though, you probably should tell fans what he's probably most famous for in bigger pop culture.
That's why I have you on, because I'm not 100% sure.
He's Boss Nass.
He's Boss Nass?
Boss Nass.
Wow. Okay. That actually ties in very well with another person we have on the birthday list. But keeping things rolling, so that was October 11th. On October 14th, Katie Manning played the companion Joe Grant. He still continues to play the character Joe Grant in Third Doctor Adventures still to this day, as well as another character we will be talking about very, very soon today, hopefully, if we can get through this birthday section in one piece. On the 15th of October, we have the Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa.
Ah, yes.
The upcoming, technically speaking, he hasn't played the Doctor, at least not on screen, but, I mean, he is the Doctor. He's the 14th Doctor, so we got to talk about it. On October 17th, we have 3 people. First of all, Patrick Ness. He was the writer, producer, and showrunner for Class, which we talked about last week. He also helped write the first 2 box sets on Big Finish for Class. Also on October 17th, speaking of Boss Nass, we have Felicity Jones. She appeared in that one Agatha Christie episode as the Unicorn, but obviously we all know her from Star Wars as Jyn Erso from Rogue One, my personal favorite Disney Star Wars movie.
And also as the she was supposed to play Black Cat in the Amazing Spider-Man series, because she was also cast as Felicity Jones.
Felicia Hardy.
Sorry. I woke up from a nap.
I didn't want to bring that up because, well, I'm still kind of disappointed we never got to see that. But lastly on my list, on this longest birthday section ever, also on the 17th, I honestly don't know what else to say about this guy. This guy just is incredible, and we can sit here list his credits all day long. It's Mark Gatiss.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's probably one of the more important figures currently in British. I don't know what to say, sci-fi.
Yeah, British television. Because remember, he was also Sherlock's brother in Stephen Moffat's Sherlock.
Yeah,
he wrote several Doctor Who episodes. He played multiple characters, including the Brigadier's father.
Yep.
He also did a Doctor Who spoof, much like Stephen Moffat himself. He wrote a lot of Big Finish episodes. He wrote and produced An Adventure in Time and Space, which gave us David Bradley's Doctor, still to this day.
Yeah, who is like when you look back on it, it's a perfect casting for.
Absolutely, it's just great. And also, he was Ewan McGregor's boss in that Christopher Robin movie, which also featured Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
Wait,
so
Capaldi?
He was the rabbit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I saw it in theaters. It's been a bit. I remember enjoying it.
It was good, but I didn't enjoy it all that much.
Yeah, when you compare it to similar movies, like movies with a similar type, yeah, it was lesser, but I still found it charming in its own right.
So, for the wonderful list of people we've listed all over here today, thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you.
Mm-hmm.
So now, shall we get down to the main topic, Mr.
Yes.
Stoker?
Yes, so that's actually something I've been thinking about because I noticed this is Big Finish. Now, could you explain to me how Big Finish in Doctor Who came about? I actually don't know.
Well, strictly speaking, one of the major voices in Big Finish, literally and figuratively, is Nicholas Briggs, as well as some of the other people you may mentioned, Mark Gatiss and others, well, Ken Bentley, Scott Hancock, Matt Fittins, David Richardson. They're all huge, massive Doctor Who fans, and for many years, Nicholas Briggs did his sort of independent Doctor Who stuff where he played the Doctor on audio and just posted it online on various different platforms. And then eventually, several years later, he was given a chance to actually bring Doctor Who to Big Finish properly. And he started with a big, massive adventure bringing 3 Doctors together, the 5th Doctor, the 6th Doctor, and the 7th Doctor, in an adventure called The Sirens of Time. And, yep.
Well, you
Tori agrees with me. She totally wasn't barking at someone outside. That was that was a complete misdirection.
And if I'm being honest, not the bark I was expecting from a dog of that size.
Well, she has several barks. To be honest, that was her annoying bark.
Okay, that's kind of like a louder version of my dog's bark, and my dog is a 3.5-pound Chihuahua.
Yeah, your dog is about the size of Tori's nose, pretty much.
Yeah. Basically the size. Yeah, basically the size of Tori's beak.
Yeah, if you can even call it a beak. Is it called a beak? So basically, after they brought back the 3 classical doctors, they started doing more and 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 more stuff involving the Doctor Who universe on Big Finish, till eventually they started spinning them off and doing all kinds of different things. They started bringing back classic companions. They started bringing back classic characters that have appeared on various different episodes and places all around the Doctor Who universe.
I'm assuming it is the actual actor for the most part, if they're still around?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for the most part. Obviously, there have been instances of recasting, but primarily that was due to the actors no longer being alive to do these parts. So it's pretty understandable. Yeah. But at some point, they started just having their own unique series and started developing the Doctor Who universe on Big Finish as its own separate entity. And then they started having original characters from Big Finish that they added to the Doctor Who mythos that spun off and had their own series. And then, about halfway through last decade, I believe, things really ramped up when they got the license to use modern series characters and monsters in their stories, and that just opened the floodgates.
And that's what I was going to say. Like with that, it's you have more opportunities to do more stories because a lot of those people are still around, and a lot of I'm going to say, because it probably is true, a lot of people are more fans of New Who than they are classic.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a sad reality, but it's true. So should we get down to some of the specific ones?
Yes, which is fun because 50 has lent me his password. I haven't listened to any in like about a month, but I actually have gone into Big Finish, so this would actually be fun.
Okay, so we'll start with the ones that I don't own. Well, actually, no. I was going to say I don't own all of these, but I am planning to eventually. So you're going to see a mixture of stuff that I haven't listened to and some stuff that I have listened to and highly, highly recommend. And obviously, I recommend the ones I didn't listen to, but I mean, I haven't listened to them yet, so
of course,
I can do that. And the first one is the one that I actually did not listen to, Dalek Empire. I'm pretty sure the name says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's again, haven't listened to it, so I don't know the specifics of the story, but it's basically just some of the many conquests of the Daleks. Nicholas Briggs is back as the Dalek, as the voice of the Daleks. And believe it or not, David Tennant is actually there. Way before he was the Doctor. He did a lot of Big Finish stuff as multiple different characters.
I believe it.
And one of those was a central character in at least one of the Dalek Empire storyline.
So basically what this comes off to me as is basically a series of short stories about the Daleks. Is that safe to say?
Again, as someone who hasn't listened to it, I'm assuming yes. There are some episodes from the monthly range of Doctor Who stories that sort of tie in to this series in particular. Haven't listened to those because I started with the main range, but not really sure exactly how. So it's sort of like its own storyline that crosses over with the main Doctor Who range on occasion. Now, one that I did listen to and actually can talk about it, Cyberman. They did a separate series on the Cyberman. This is the one that they recently, a few years ago, they released both Series 1 and Series 2 as its own unique bundle. I bought it when they had a sale a couple of weeks ago, and I've listened to all of the first series. I haven't listened to the second one, but what I can tell you is basically cover. Oh, are we getting a bear? Are we getting a bear?
You might. Come on, come say hi to Uncle 50. Come on. I'm gonna go get him. Be right back.
So for the audience, basically it primarily covers the Orion War. Hold on, I'll wait for him to come back.
Yep, I'm here. Remember, I can hear you throughout my apartment.
Oh, that's pretty creepy. Hi there. I bring up Toy, but she's wasted. She's lying on the floor. Maybe
that was him yesterday because, like I said, at 50 in the green room, Canadian Thanksgiving was this weekend, and this was this boy's first introduction to tryptophan. So after the turkey, he was passed out in the car, pretty much.
So yeah, as I mentioned, the Cybermen series, at least season 1, I'm assuming season 2 also does this, but it pretty much covers a major part of the Orion War. And the Orion War is one of many, many conflicts that took place during the Cyber Wars. Are you familiar with, are you interested with learning more about the Orion War?
Yeah, just give me a little bit of hint. Like, basically treat it like I'm the general audience, which for the most of these is going to be true. You're going to have to explain a few things.
Okay, so basically the Orion War is something that's been mentioned in various forms of Doctor Who media, as similar to the Cyber Wars, which is a much larger thing, but the Orion War specifically is somewhere in late 24th century. Humans started to develop androids to do all kinds of menial tasks for them, to took over all the jobs that humans didn't want to do anymore. It's basically, well, we'll get to that reference in a bit, but basically they were relying on androids to do anything. And eventually, after several decades of this, the androids were like, hey, we like to be treated equal. We're people too. We have, even though we're mechanical, we still have feelings. We don't want to be treated as slaves anymore. And then the humans were like, nope, you're androids. You don't get feelings. You don't get to have equal rights. And what happened next was basically the original Planet of the Apes. Just swap out the apes for androids. It was an android uprising against the humans. The humans then decided that the androids were obsolete and they needed to be deactivated. And then it just devolved into a war between the Earth Empire and the androids, who were primarily based in the Orion constellation, which was where the majority of the factories that were producing the androids were built. And they basically became like training grounds for new androids. The entire constellation had factories on it, and that was the main base of operations for these androids. And then the Cybermen show up because apparently, after 200 years, humans forgot about what Cybermen were.
Yeah, no kidding.
Even though they tried to conquer Earth several times in 200 years earlier, and they were stopped by some guy in a blue box, humans completely forgot that Cybermen ever existed, but the androids didn't because they're androids. They have infinite memory, sort of. So the Cybermen came in and started to join forces with the humans. They saw it as an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. They offered their hands of friendship to the humans, building all kinds of refugee camps for survivors of the war, which secretly, obviously, were cyber conversion factories. And they started converting the population of humans into more Cybermen with the intention of converting all of humanity and wiping out the androids. So yeah, that's basically the majority of season 1.
Do we get a moment of androids on horses with guns? You said Planet of the Apes.
I forgot I had Ben on. So yeah, to answer your question, no. But there is this sort of human and android forbidden love type love triangle. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Hold on. I gotta one up that. Hold on.
Of course. This is how I spend most of my days, and I'm not complaining. Hey, Toy.
Now, she just woke up because she heard me get up. Yeah. Hold on. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Toy's still technically a puppy, right?
Does 2 years count as a puppy?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. So now that we're done with the dog discussion, is there any more further questions you have on the Cybermen series?
Nope. Let's continue.
Okay. Now here's another one that I have not listened to, but I am very much familiar with the characters in question. Jago and Lightfoot. Now I will just say this. This is arguably the most successful Doctor Who spin-off on Big Finish.
What?
It lasted for 14 seasons, which comparatively speaking is more than the modern series.
True.
So basically, these two characters, Mr. Henry Gordon Jago on the left and Professor George Lightfoot on the right, were two side characters that were prominently featured in a Tom Baker story from the 70s, The Talons of Wang Chiang, one of the most infamously racist Doctor Who episodes, but
I've never seen it, and even I know that.
it's very infamous, like I said. And it suffers from another big problem that a lot of classic Doctor Who episodes suffer from, is that, yeah, they're incredibly racist, but it's also a really, really good story. I mean, if you ignore all the racism and the Asian stereotypes in it, there's a really good story in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And the chemistry between Trevor Baxter and Christopher Benjamin, who played these two characters, was so strong that Big Finish eventually decided to bring them back and give them their own series where they basically just solve mysteries in Victorian-era London, similar to the ones that they had in the episode that they appeared in.
Nice.
So, like I said, I have not listened to it, but I am familiar with these characters because they do pop up on several of the other series that we'll be talking about today. Should we move on?
Yep.
Obviously, we can't really have a discussion about Doctor Who spin-offs without talking about one of the most infamous Doctor Who spin-off character of all time, Bernice Summerfield.
Okay.
This is a character that I believe debuted in novels. So, long story short, after the show Doctor Who was canceled in 1989, it basically sort of had a not so soft transition from TV to books.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the franchise was able to survive and sustain itself for a decade and a half before the show came back. But the Seventh Doctor main series of books, known as the Virgin New Adventures, that was the name of the series, featured the Seventh Doctor and Ace, and along the way a new companion was added, Dr. Bernice Summerfield, which is a archaeologist from the future. Stop me if you heard that before, but she was a very, very popular character in those books, and I believe she's the longest traveling companion with the Seventh Doctor, specifically. And then she transitioned into comics, and then by 1997, she transitioned fully into the realm of Big Finish, actually debuting her own Big Finish series before Doctor Who was on Big Finish.
Oh.
She's one of the first few characters on Big Finish. She's at this point she's pretty much considered as much an original Big Finish character as much as she is an original Doctor Who character, even though she debuted in the books.
I was gonna say, I wonder if we would ever get her live action.
I would love that. The actress Lisa Bowerman is still around today. She's still writing episodes, directing episodes, and of course starring in episodes as this character alongside. Well, used to star alongside David Warner as the Doctor.
David Warner was the Doctor?
Yes. So basically, in the 40th anniversaries, Big Finish did a lot of what they call Doctor Who Unbound, which is basically like a Doctor Who version of What If.
Oh, okay.
All kinds of different actors playing the Doctor in different What If scenarios, and David Warner was one of them, but he's easily the most successful, most well-beloved of the 5-ish actors that played different versions of the Doctor.
David Warner in another life, in another reality, would have made a great Doctor.
Correction. He was a great Doctor.
A great Doctor on TV.
Ah, thank you. That sounds better.
Okay.
So eventually they just had her travel into the Unbound universe, and basically that version of the Doctor became like the main Doctor of choice for a lot of the Bernice Summerfield stories. And also for continuity's sake, she was also the professor that taught River Song at Academy.
No, I like that.
And she often said that River Song was the worst and most troublesome student she's ever had.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that tracks. That tracks. Next, one that I did listen to. Can't say I'm a fan of it, but Unit.
Unit.
So basically, they did a Unit series. I believe 2 seasons ish. They brought the Brigadier, but I mean, he's barely even in it. And
did they have the guy that took over for the Brigadier?
What?
Did they have the guy that took over for the Brigadier?
So basically, they brought back Nicholas Courtney as the Brigadier. And like I said, he wasn't really in there for very, very long. They did have a person that took over for the Brigadier, not the one you're referring to, but a person who took over for the Brigadier, played by David Tennant, who is an asshole on this series, as well as the other Big Finish Unbound one with David Warner and Nicholas Courtney as the Brigadier. David Tennant was in both, and he was an asshole in both, playing the same character. And yeah, this is one that really did not age well, primarily because they're fighting a sort of new organization that basically wanted to do everything the unit was doing and just better. And they were secretly a terrorist organization posing as the good guys. Can you guess what the name of that organization was?
Hydra.
Close.
Really?
Actually, a bit closer than you think.
Hydro. I don't know.
ISIS.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank God it came out before.
Yeah.
The real ISIS was a popular thing.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Like I said, did not age well, but you know it exists, and I listened to it, and well. That's several hours of my life I can't get back. It's lovely to still hear the Brigadier's voice in my ears, and David Tennant, but I think the Uncle 50 joke has run its course. So let me just... There we go. The Curator. Now...
I was like wind.
Yeah. So speaking of Unit, we have another character from the classic series that had... 2 seasons on Big Finish, Sarah Jane Smith.
Oh, Sarah Jane.
Reprising her role as Sarah Jane.
Said this before, and I will always say it. One of my favorite moments in all of Doctor Who that I've watched is the moment 10 sees Sarah Jane for the first time.
I'm in tears every time.
Yeah, just because it's the Doctor seeing someone from his past, but not just that. It's David Tennant getting to act alongside his favorite companion.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
And this thing actually was produced before she came back, like about a year or 2 before she came back. And I believe the only reason they stopped the series was because Russell T. Davies was bringing her back. She did, like I said, she did two seasons. Here's all 9 episodes. I think it's 9. I think it might be 9 or 10. But all the episodes in this one image. She's she has her own. She's now a freelance investigative journalist. She has 2 sidekicks. What else can I say about the show other than I hate it? I absolutely hate it. It's my least favorite Big Finish thing ever.
Is it canon?
I mean, it's Doctor Who. Everything is canon until it isn't.
But
I mean, they took my favorite companion, which for me, I mean, it's a recipe for gold, and somehow they botched it. I don't know how. I mean, they brought, well, obviously, real world tragedies. Ian Marder passed away years ago, so they couldn't bring Harry Sullivan back. So what they did was they brought his brother, and he's kind of a douche in that one. What I did like about the series is that they set up the idea that Harry and Sarah Jane used to meet in the same restaurant once a year, every year. And now, even though Harry's off the map and is still canonically still alive in the Doctor Who universe, gotta mention that, but she still goes and visits that one same restaurant every day, hoping to. What?
Oh, that guy. I remember him from when we did our Companions episode.
Harry Sullivan is an imbecile!
Yes, that guy.
So basically, let me just get into one of the stuff that I hate about this. The series is Sarah Jane is now a disgruntled journalist, if you catch my meaning. She investigated a company with deep pockets and very far reach, pissed off the wrong people, posted something in the newspaper that she shouldn't have posted, got fired, got completely disgraced and disgruntled all over. No one wants to talk to her. Her name is Mud all throughout the season. The fact she has two people actually willing to join up with her and help her is even a miracle. Mm-hmm. And then several episodes into it, you realize that the company is back, and they're like the main villains of the series. They're trying to take Sarah Jane off the picture completely. And guess why?
They're the master.
This is one of the instances where I wish Snark was here because he would love it. And have you seen my episode with Snark, by the way, that I did a couple weeks ago?
I finally have time this week to sit down and watch it.
Okay, well, here's a bit of a tease to that one. So basically, that company that Sarah Jane was investigating, and they ruined her name, they're part of a super religious cult that believe Sarah Jane is some sort of harbinger of doom.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
Bring about the apocalypse. And guess what? Harry Sullivan's brother is a part of that cult.
How am I not surprised?
In other words,
Harry Sullivan is an imbecile!
Oh, and guess what? One of her sidekicks, the guy called Josh, he's actually secretly belonging to a separate cult, the opposite one that actually believes that Sarah Jane is some sort of messianic figure.
Okay, everything up into the cult sounded good on paper.
It does sound good on paper. There is one character that I like from this, and it's like this assassin character, really, really efficient, gets things done, and he's a really, really terrifying figure when you hear him in the show itself. But then all the cult stuff and the conspiracies and ruining the name of Harry Sullivan, a character I didn't really like all that much to begin with, and then just trampling all over my favorite companion, it's just, ugh! And if you look over here in the episodes list, you see the final one right there at the bottom right.
Yeah, the spacesuit.
Yeah, the spacesuit one. So last episode ends with her getting lost in space, starts having hallucinations, and you can see the people on Earth can still hear her via radio, saying that she can hear a voice she can still hear a sound that she hasn't heard in years, and saying, he's coming back for me, he's coming to get me. Can you assume what that was?
It's the TARDIS noise, because I mean that's something I remember from school reunion. It's that conversation, like, why didn't you come back to me? So I would believe that it is something that Sarah would have been obsessed with for years.
Yeah, and still to this day, obviously Elizabeth Sladen sadly no longer with us, but there's still no closure to that cliffhanger, and no one knows if the Doctor just found her and brought her back to Earth, and then met her several years later as his 10th incarnation. No one knows what happened to Sarah Jane, but thankfully, that whole series was just swept under the rug. Because none of the characters or the locations made an appearance in any of the other appearances from Sarah Jane in the show itself. So now that we move on from that horrible mess, we this is another Bernice Summerfield. I wondered where that picture was gone and why I couldn't find it. But yeah, this is a really cool picture of Bernice Summerfield. But anyways, moving on to another spin-off series that I have not listened to, but I am familiar with the characters because they frequently make guest appearances on other Doctor Who related stuff. We have Countermeasures. Basically, for lack of a better word, imagine this as sort of 60s unit. without actually being unit.
Okay.
An investigative division featuring several characters that have appeared alongside Sylvester McCoy in the episode Remembrance of the Daleks, which was set in 1963, right around the time the Doctor and Susan left London, and they basically they helped them fight the Daleks, and then this team of people regularly investigate. It's a very political investigation show. It's with 1960s politics, obviously, and occasionally there's aliens there, like the Yeti, as we can see here in this cover, and obviously the Daleks. And yeah, like I said, haven't listened to it, but the characters regularly appear on either the monthly range or some other special releases. That's how I'm at least familiar with it, and that's why I remembered to put it on the list today.
Well, there you go.
Nothing to add?
No, nothing to add.
Okay, so let's move on to something that I have actually listened to most of it. Gallifrey.
And of course, there's Leela.
Yep, Leela and Romana. Two companions you wouldn't really think would work well together, but their chemistry is just off the charts in this show. So basically, it's an idea that one of the people at Big Finish had for many, many years, even way before Big Finish was even a thing. And then after the 40th anniversary special with Zagreus, where they actually brought those two characters together. I'll do an episode about Zagreus next month, I promise. But that was when they felt like it was the right time to bring this series to life. So basically, it's just a series primarily taking place on Gallifrey with the politics systems of Gallifrey. And the best way I can describe it is imagine all the politics from the Star Wars prequels, except good and interesting and based on Gallifrey.
Nice.
There's presidential elections. There's interspecies conflict there. There's a terrorist group. There's Gallifrey and Civil War at one point. They go deep into the history of Gallifrey and they explore the characters of Romana and Leela to the fullest. But at a certain point, there's like a sort of multiverse of Gallifrey, different Gallifreys with Leela and Leela, Romana, K9, Braxiatel, and Narvin traveling to different Gallifreys from different realities. There's all kinds of fun, cool, interesting stuff. You get to see an alternate version of the Doctor in one of these alternate Gallifreys, an alternate version of Barusa.
So it's set the precedent then with the alternate versions of the Doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
Lately.
So there's an alternate version of Susan, and just like I said, alternate version of Gallifrey. Imagine a Gallifrey. Well, I don't think it's going to talk to you much because you didn't really see much of the classic series, but there's a version of Gallifrey where it's just Gallifreyans who haven't developed time travel yet against vampires, who are the old enemy of the Time Lords, essentially.
Interesting.
I saw shadow moving across your.
It's there's wind outside. I'm gonna go close my
window. I thought the silence came for you.
Yeah, they're coming. No, it's windy outside.
So the series itself primarily lasted for around 6 full seasons.
Oh wow!
I'm waiting for you to get back by the computer because I want you to see, to take a look at the cover for the 6th season.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was the first time they were actually allowed to use modern era Daleks on Big Finish, which was a really big moment for them.
Yeah, no kidding.
And after this 6th series, the series mainly transitioned into just special releases, one-off releases like Intervention Earth and Enemy Lines.
Oh, go back for a second to the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that Martin Landau? No. Juliet Landau. I think that's Martin Landau's kid.
It might be. I think so. She's playing a 3rd incarnation of Romana. Oh. Spoiler. And by the way, that's for Doctor Who fans, that's Omega right there. But then
the daughter of the one and only Martin Landau.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn something new today. So yeah, that's the one special.
That's 2 things you learned today.
Let's keep it going. I might find out something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, that's Intervention Earth and Enemy Lines, 2 special releases. and then the show sort of came back in a bigger way with the Time War.
Nice.
So yeah, that's right over there from left to right. That's Romana, Braxiatel, Ace, the War Master, Leela, and Narvin.
Sorry, who's the person between Ace and what's her face? Romana?
Braxiatel. Irvin Braxiatel. He's a major character from the Bernice Summerfield.
Oh, okay.
And he's a major player on Gallifrey.
Okay.
And he's kind of sort of the Doctor's brother. No big deal there.
I'm sorry. The Doctor has a brother?
Maybe, sort of. Maybe, sort of.
It's a wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I am saving him a further discussion about him for a Time Lord discussion that I'm planning to do next year, but like I said, that's next year. So yeah, they did 4 box sets of this Gallifrey Time War that pretty much coincided with the regular Doctor Who Time War.
Bring that up for a second.
Yep.
Okay, that actor we were just talking about, you know his name? The actor.
Miles Richardson.
Okay, never mind. For a moment, he looked like the guy who was in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He was like the consulate guy that ended up being brainwashed by the cult. I thought he was an actor in the Indiana Jones movies.
Okay, that would have been the third thing for today.
Yeah.
But yeah, after they did like 4 boxes of this Time War stuff, coinciding with the Paul McGann Time War stuff. Paul McGann obviously took over for John Hurt, couldn't do it anymore for obvious reasons.
Which was one of those cool things when I saw McCann, they finally gave him his regeneration. I'm like, it's nice to finally have him appear in New Who. Yeah, and another big benefit to that is that now they had new artwork of the 8th Doctor that they can put on Big Finish box sets, because up until that point, they basically just reused photos of the 8th Doctor that they for promotion for that one movie. And now they have a new look for him. They slapped it all over anything they could find. And yeah, so after these 4 box sets, they then transition into what is currently known as Gallifrey War Room, which is currently the 13th big major release from the Gallifrey series. Richard Armitage, I know that name.
Yeah, that's something.
Keep talking. I'm gonna look that up.
Okay, so we've got a bit of an obscure one while you're looking that up. Iris Wildthyme. So basically, it's Katie Manning again, but not playing Jo Grant. She's playing a character called Iris Wildthyme. Gotta be honest, I have no idea where this character originated from, but she does appear all over Doctor Who stuff, and she's basically just a character, a female Time Lord that, from what I've heard, because I haven't listened to her range yet, I've only heard her in guest appearances on other Doctor Who stuff, but she's basically more complicated than the Doctor could ever hope to be. And for the most part, she's a fairly original Big Finish character. We've transitioned from the classic series to Big Finish original characters. What were you going to say?
Okay, so I found out where he's from. That's Thorin Oakenshield.
Oh, yeah! I knew I recognized the name.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like, I know this name that, oh, shit, it's Thorin.
Modown. Yeah, ever since we don't have to study for these, our brains have turned into mush.
Yeah, pretty much. My brain was already on mush point by the end of it.
Yeah, pretty much. So, okay, so back on track. So now we've transitioned on to characters who have appeared specifically in Doctor Who Big Finish episodes and have since spun off into their own series. Another one I have not listened to, The Robots. This is sort of a transition stage from the classic series to Big Finish originals. Basically, it takes place in another Tom Baker episode. There's a lot of Tom Baker, Robert Holmes, Philip Hinchcliffe stuff on Big Finish regularly, but basically from an episode from the Tom Baker era, Leela's second episode, as a matter of fact, called The Robots of Death, which just introduces you to Caldor City, where, and stop me if you've heard this before, humans are now relying on robot androids to do everything that they are too lazy to do, and the robots are rebelling against that. Again, I don't think you've heard that. Yeah, pretty much. But it's different because the robots look like this.
Oh,
you can kind of see that one.
You know what they kind of remind me of? They remind me in the one what the hell was it? The one with the fireplace in Tennant's first season.
The Clockwork robot?
No, it kind of has that vibe to me.
I don't see it. I don't know. But yeah, two of the people from that one episode had their birthdays throughout this week, and I unfortunately had to take them out because it's
Then why not give him a shout out right now?
Damn it! I
never mind. He doesn't remember.
I already deleted the browser.
All good.
So basically, this character called Livchenka, played by Nicola Walker, who was a one-time, one-off companion of the 7th Doctor, then came back as a full-time companion of the 8th Doctor. She's taking center stage in this series of just humans versus robots.
That's the person on the left.
Yeah, the person on the left.
Yeah, okay.
The one in the center right here.
The one who wasn't dressed like she was from Gallifrey.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, I believe they're already on their 7th box set, I think. So, yeah, it's pretty successful. Now, once again, Tom Baker's name makes another appearance. So, and also this was the debut of Romana, the first Romana. In the 70s, they had like this thing called the Quest for the Key to Time, where, long story short, this super powerful guardian of order called the White Guardian tasked the Doctor and Romana and K9 to find these 5 segments of the Key to Time, a weapon so powerful that one person should never have it on his own. And basically, it was the entire season they went from different places to different all around the universe and all through time for these segments. Basically, it was like the Infinity Gauntlet from the comics, pretty much like that. To try to find these segments to build them, construct them into the Key to Time. Fast forward to 2010, they did the Key to Time 2, or the Key to Time, because it's funny. They did that with the 5th Doctor, and they introduced a new companion called Amy, not the Amy you're familiar with, just simply straight up Amy and her evil sister Zara, to sort of try to Amy tried to help the Doctor find the pieces of the Key to Time again. Zara was on her way to finding it on her own, for her own evil means, and eventually they succeeded. I'm really botching this explain-o-vision stuff, but basically they succeeded, and then the Grace, the pan-dimensional beings that created both of them, and the Guardians said, "Okay, fine, yeah, your mission is complete. You can go about your business. You can go and live your life as proper citizens of the universe." And so they got their own series called Graceless, with Sierra Johnson as Amy and Lara Doddington as Zara.
That's quite a title, Graceless.
Yeah, because the Grace is no longer looking after them. They can do whatever they want now, and occasionally they have to go and talk to the Grace. I've only listened to the first season so far. They've got 3 seasons already, or series, I should say. But basically, they're like, it's a show about 2 godlike teenage girls trying to live their lives, and there's some really interesting stuff there. David Warner shows up again because he's in everything. But
nice. Gotta love David Warner. He rest in power.
Yeah, same week as Bernard Cribbins, I believe.
Was it?
I think so, yeah.
I know
unless I'm thinking of David Collins, who also played an Unbound version of the Doctor. But so, are you interested in this at all? By the way,
I am listening. Like this, a lot of this is interesting. You know me. I don't know a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be an intriguing show, even though I liked the characters when they were on the Key to Time. But so far, season 1, pretty good. Can't wait to listen to the other 2 seasons. And speaking of companions of the Doctor who got their own series, Charlotte Pollard. And this is basically, imagine Clara Oswald, but more complicated. Basically,
within 3 days of each other. That's what I was looking up. And there actually is a character that's more complicated than Clara.
Yes, there's several. I mean, probably the number one on the list would be this one. But
yeah, that's just a weird picture. It kind of looks like the female version of the second Doctor.
Iris?
Tell me you're not getting Troughton vibes from that.
Primarily from the hat. And
from the hat especially. Yeah.
But so Charlie Pollard, I would not be surprised if this character was an inspiration of Clara for Stephen, because I mean, no shade on Clara for once, but if you actually listen to some of the Doctor Who range, you start to realize that, oh, basically everything that people like about Clara, Stephen Moffat took from these other characters, these other better written characters from Big Finish. And the more and more you listen to these companions that came before her, the more she starts to look like a Frankenstein's monster of different companions mishmashed together.
I'm assuming, but most of them will probably be for Big Finish, though.
Yeah, I was specifically talking about Big Finish. But so Charlie Pollard was a companion of the 8th Doctor for several for a lot of years, and then some wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff happened, and she ended up being a companion of the 6th Doctor, and she knew his future, but he did not know her.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of the stuff that Stephen Moffat did in his run, kind of taken from this character. And more to the point, I mean, like forcing the Doctor to forget about her while she remembers everything. She did that way before Clara did it. So there. I was
going to say even before Clara, even before Donna.
Actually, I think it was a little after Donna.
Might
have been. But I mean, the reason she forced the Doctor to forget everything about her was because she spent who knows how many years working with the Virans. The Virans, I think we talked about them in the Monsters tier ranking list that we did a couple of weeks ago. But basically, they're like these really powerful beings that seem to want to help defend the universe in questionable ways. But yeah, they stole Charlie Pollard. I'm not going to get into too much of the specifics of the story, but she was working with them for many, many years before coming back to and reuniting with the 6th Doctor. That was when she made him forget about her. Yeah, this is basically the series that spans all the time that she was with the Virans.
Yeah, which would explain why when she's later on with the 8th Doctor, it's a past version of her, he doesn't remember.
Yeah. They got to keep it consistent.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of companions that were one-offs, literally a one-off, with this one in particular, and not technically really a companion, but just a character that was introduced in a 7th Doctor story that then came back and had her own series. We have Vienna Salvatore.
Who's that? Chase Masterson.
Yeah, Chase Masterson from Star Trek and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I thought I recognized that name.
Me too. And yeah, she's basically this space bounty hunter.
Very nice.
And yeah, she was really good in the one episode she had with Sylvester McCoy, which was a part of a much larger trilogy. But yeah, like I said, they gave her her own series where she's basically just going around the universe being a space bounty hunter.
Nice.
Essentially, played by Chase Masterson. And if that doesn't motivate you to watch, if that doesn't motivate you to listen to this series, then perhaps this will. Yeah. Kind of going for the low blow there. But yeah, even though she only has, I believe, 3 seasons, I should say, depending on who you ask, the character herself is still around the Doctor Who universe, and she regularly appears in Master alongside Eric.
No,
alongside Eric Roberts as the movie version of the Master, the American Master, as I like to call him.
They brought Eric Roberts back?
Yes, absolutely. And he's loving it. They literally have to fly people from the Big Finish production team to Los Angeles so that they can record with Eric Roberts and Chase Masterson together because they don't want to leave LA for obvious reasons. And this week was the release of Master 2 Nemesis Express.
Nice.
So it's a Master exclamation point. Not the Master, not the movie Master. It's just Master with an exclamation point. So do I have your attention now?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I didn't realize Eric Roberts back. Like I know this guy that likes to do everything. It's pretty cool that he came back for Doctor Who. Considering that was like a one-off thing for him, what, 25 years ago? Yeah.
Closer to 30.
Yeah, that's right. Closer to frig we're old.
Trying to calm down the beast. Just barking at random people walking in the.
Well, hey, after seeing that, can you blame him?
Now she's getting comfortable. On the couch. Okay, so speaking of the Master, there's another Master that we'll be talking about today. And when I decided to have to bring you up to speed on all these Doctor Who spin-offs from Big Finish, you know me. When I want to recommend something to you, I want to have only the good.
Ooh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, the War Master, Derek Jacobi, I believe back for 8 series already.
Nice.
You get to see the War Master at the height of the Time War. You get to see his Hearts of Darkness, showing us the rage of the Time Lords. So,
oh my lord!
Did you even see the joke that I made earlier?
I did.
So he's showing us the rage of the Time Lords. This is really just a series featuring one of the greatest British actors of all time, playing one of the most iconic roles in British television history. It's one of those series where you can really sit down whenever you want to experience have some killing time.
Dude, you're fucking good with that.
Yeah. And remember, I'm only doing this out of self-defense.
But I like they see that he's back with Tennant.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he became you know who I'm talking about. He became the next version of the Master under Tennant. So when did this take place?
This is during the Time War. He fought in the time. He mentions in the Sound of Drum.
And Tennant doesn't remember the Time War. Right. Duh.
No, he was with the Derek Jacobi version fought in the Time War.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was in this one, I think, where after he did more harm than good, he decided to just run away and he regressed himself back into a child.
Oh.
And this one, I believe, it takes place with Tennant after he's already met the Master. I believe this takes place when Tennant was on his own after the Donna thing. He somehow meets the Master before he ran away from the Time War. So, again, it's a wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey thing, but I guess this is just one of those stories that you just want to listen whenever you need some escape from reality.
Very nice. Very nice.
And I believe this came out a couple of weeks ago, this one. So with that was a really nice transition through from Vienna Salvatore through the Movie Master to the War Master, which brings us to the modern series. And like I said, once they got the license to use modern series characters, the floodgates were open. Anything is possible. Who do you think was the first character they brought back to Big Finish? As a full series.
Okay, so sorry, say that again. Brought back to Big Finish, but from the original?
From the modern series, which was the first character they gave their own series to?
Can you read me approximately a season? So can you just give me a little bit of hint, approximately what timeline this character appeared in the show?
From the Matt Smith era.
River Song?
Not exactly.
The Silence.
They're not a standalone. They're not a character.
A character from the Smith era. It's not Clive, is it?
He's from the Eccleston era.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking James Corden's character. Sorry.
Oh, that's great.
Hey, sorry. No, I don't. I don't know who was the first.
Churchill.
Really? Churchill?
Yeah. Ian McNeice reprising his role as Churchill in a series of, two box sets. And as you can see in the back, the 9th, 10th, and 11th Doctor both show up. However, you don't really hear the actors. The basic format of these Churchill stories is Ian McNeice as Winston Churchill narrating some of the instances of his life.
Oh.
And it's for the most part, it's a full cast drama, except for when the Doctor shows up. At that time, Ian McNeice is narrating the Doctor's parts as Winston Churchill.
I like that. I like that because if you couldn't get the actors, that's the way to do it. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, that doesn't even look like Eccleston.
Yeah, it's a silhouette.
Well, even the head shape's not as round.
It is heavily implied that it is that particular version.
Right. Of course.
Apparently, according to
the actress who plays the nurse, she does look familiar too.
Oh, you don't recognize her?
It's hard because the image is small.
That's Lily Arwell. Does that name ring a bell? Not the actress, the character.
Lily Arwell, it does, but from where?
She's the daughter of Madge Arwell from the Doctor, the Witch in the Wardrobe. The girl became
way.
became Winston Churchill's nurse in his aging years.
So for those of you who don't know, the Doctor, the Witch, that episode is the very first episode of Doctor Who I ever watched. That is wild.
And you know what else? Madame Vastra also shows up.
That one I caught, and that one didn't surprise. Where's Jenny?
Yeah, she did. Because if you check out the timelines,
yeah,
it's possible that Vastra's still alive when Churchill's around. Yep, and she actually meets young Churchill, but Strax and Jenny no longer with us by that point.
God damn it. I love Strax. You know me, I love Strax. But that's pretty freaking cool. Wow. Lily Arwell. I'll be damned.
There's another character from the Matt Smith era that also makes an appearance during the Churchill, the first Churchill box set. Can you guess which one? A beloved one-off character from the Matt Smith era. Who do you think would work well with Churchill? That hasn't met
immediately Vincent Van Gogh, but I mean he would have been dead, and I don't think he would have transported him time.
Someone who did travel in time.
From the Matt Smith era, who would fit well with Winston Churchill? I'm sorry, man, I'm blanking.
Kazran Sardik.
Kazran, of course.
They fought Daleks alongside the Romans in Old Britain. It's a crazy, wild ride, and I'm so glad that I was able to that I listened to it.
I love that two characters from two of my favorite Christmas specials are in the Churchill stuff.
I would kill for a third box set of just Churchill and Kazran together. They work so well together. These two characters.
Anything is possible. Gambit is still kicking.
No, it's the young Kazran. Sorry.
Even better.
And speaking of even better, here's a character you mentioned earlier, River Song.
Oh, with me again.
Yeah, she got her own series called The Diary of River Song. I believe right now she's on her 11th box sets already. And as
I was gonna say, is that someone you could imagine making a cameo in the 60th?
River Song, of course. And I mean, she didn't just appear with Paul McGann. She basically met every single Doctor, aside from the War Doctor.
So, why? If you don't mind me asking. Like, what is the reasoning? The storyline reasoning?
She's the Doctor's wife. What more reason do you need?
That's fair.
And there's a big major storyline there that she has to keep making the Doctor forget who she is because he doesn't know her yet. So
Right.
yeah, she, as you said, she met the 8th Doctor. She had an adventure with both the 7th and 6th Doctor. She met the 5th Doctor. As you can see, Madame Kavarian came back.
Oh, I see that.
She met the 4th Doctor. She had an encounter with the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st Doctors in this one. She also met. She also has this. She met K9 and has this girl she adopted called Rachel.
The Mechanoids.
Yeah, the Mechanoid.
What are they?
What?
Are they Dalek offshoots?
No, they're the old enemies of the Daleks from way back in the day.
What caught my eye is featuring Nicholas Briggs as the Mechanoids.
Yeah, they fought together in The Chase, the episode I mentioned earlier.
Right. Yes, that's right. You did mention that earlier.
That was
There's a lot of new information for me this episode.
Yeah, and grab yourself in because we're only getting started. Like I said, she met every single Doctor. She met several versions of the Master, as you can see in here. Specifically,
4 Masters. Wow.
Yeah, not all the Masters, but 4 of them.
Still,
specifically Derek Jacobi, Jeffrey Beavers, Eric Roberts, and Michelle Gomez. She also met the Weeping Angels. You know, those guys that took her parents away from her.
Right. Oh, so I'm assuming that one has to do with her writer alias that's in the
Melody Malone persona.
Yeah,
Yep.
Malone, yep.
Takes precedent. She also has a box set with the Unit years, the John Pertwee era. Literally,
funny, if you look at Pertwee, it almost looks like he's wearing a wig because of these the profile they have on him.
Yeah, it kind of does. And the funny thing is, all the people you see here recast for obvious reasons.
This was after the Brigadier had passed away. Gotcha.
Yeah, they recast the Brigadier with John Colshaw. They recast Elizabeth Shaw with Daisy Ashford, and Tim Treloar plays, still to this day, he plays the 3rd Doctor. He does an almost spot-on impression of the 3rd Doctor.
Why they didn't get Sean Pertwee is beyond me, but I like that they had Bessie in there.
Well, because he said in multiple interviews that he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to step into his father's shoes, which is understandable.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's perfectly acceptable because, I mean, you want to make up your own career. You don't want to, ride the coattails of your dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though you already look like him and you do have his name.
He's already been compared to him for many other movies. Oddly enough, Sarah Jane's daughter, Sadie Miller, plays Sarah Jane Smith alongside Tim Treloar as the 3rd Doctor in Big Finish.
I like.
So, if I could have my way, I would have a special with Sean Pertwee and Sadie Miller as the Doctor and Sarah Jane for the 60th anniversary. But I mean,
you know what? If I could see a world where they could convince Sean Pertwee to do the one-off.
Yeah, the one-off. Yeah,
the one-off, and this would be and one of the anniversaries would be ideal. Release it as like a short or something.
Yeah, I would love that. But Tim Treloar is another good replacement because
for sure,
it's uncanny. Sometimes you hear the guy talk. I thought I was listening to John Pertwee. I was like, wait, what? Oh yeah, that's not him. That's the other guy. It's very easy to spot the difference between the two. But if you're not paying attention, like I was at the time, it could catch you off guard. So, like I said, 11 box sets of River Song. Should we go ahead and talk about her father?
I didn't even know that this was a thing. Yeah. But it makes sense because he had 2,000 years of watching a box.
Pretty much. The Lone Centurion. It's basically just Rory as an immortal plastic Oton thing going all around Rome. He became Caesar at one point. He also, several years later, he also then just joined King Arthur's court at Camelot. That's the natural next step. As you can see, they did an homage to the Green Knight.
I see that.
Yeah, I believe also they one of the stories they make a reference to the forest that they were staying in. There was the forest of Neat. A lot of Arthurian references in this box set of Camelot. Can't wait to see what they come up with next. This one was the most recent one that came out for this series.
So he's doing them right now.
I mean, I don't know that they're doing a third one, but I would love to.
What I mean is that they're like really recent. That's pretty cool that he's doing them.
Like, 2021, I think, the second one. There's also, and again, I haven't listened to it yet, but there's also a Missy standalone series.
I love me some Missy.
I love me some Missy too. And
John Sims, she'd probably be my favorite version of the Master.
I mean, obviously my favorite is Delgado. That's never going to change. But she's pretty much up there. She's very much up there as far as my favorites. And as you can see right behind her, the monk is a pretty prominent character in the Missy series. The third one is literally titled Missy and the Monk. The meddling. You're familiar with the meddling monk, right?
I only from what you've told me.
All right, good. Really, that's all you really need to know. About.
I can't remember. Was it tier list we did?
Yeah, for the villains.
Yeah.
Now this next series, I really don't think I'm going to have much of a hard time convincing you to check it out. It's just called the Paternoster Game.
Done.
Yep. Vastra, Jenny, and Strax in a it's 4 box sets that are tied to a much larger umbrella type storyline called Heritage. Yeah, they do a lot of things with this one. It's basically just it's not just a homage to those characters in that particular corner of the Doctor Who universe. It's also a great homage to Victorian London in that era. There's a very much there's a storyline involving Spring Heel Jack.
Just so people know, I am legit on Big Finish right now, trying to find it.
You can if one of the lines you can search by range. I think that's what it's called. I need your eyes on the computer. Computer one for a second. There's I believe a storyline involving Spring Heel Jack at one point. Thomas Karnacki shows up for an episode. There's the modern series Sontarans. There's classic series Silurians, and even Mr. Henry Gordon Jago shows up for a bit.
Oh, cool!
And you know what's my favorite part about that series? They actually made Strax competent. He's not the butt of the joke anymore. And yes, I love me some funny Strax. But I hate it when all he was there for was the jokes.
Hey man, it was great stuff. You gotta admit.
It was great stuff. But I mean, the guy's a Sontaran warrior. And he actually does show that he's really good in the fight in this box set.
I wouldn't doubt it. It's nice. It's nice to see them that they're actually adding that layers to Strax. Because he is a great butt of a joke. But I mean, you're right.
he can be a good soldier. In addition to that, so yeah, I don't really think I need to sell you on this anymore. No. It almost feels like the only thing I need to say any further is that what if there was a counter team to the Paternoster Gang called the Bloomsbury Bunch,
which is a thing in one of the stories, I'm assuming.
Which also consists of a human, a Sontaran, and a Silurian, just the anti-version of the Paternoster Gang.
Interesting. Yeah,
there's so much stuff to explore with just that one series, and of course, it also gave us. This.
Do not threaten me with muffins.
There we go.
You are being chased by a child You are being chased by a child holding a wooden box. Shall I snap its neck? Jenny, cheer up! You still got me, boy.
I love Strax.
I do not like humans. Oi, I'm a human. Are you? I thought we had a cat.
Oh god! One of my favorite moments is when he throws the newspaper up to Clara and just dings her in the head.
Yep, the Times. Should I set it up?
Oof.
One of my favorite moments from this box set specifically was when he was like, yes, the Green Witch. And then Jenny's like, that's Greenwich, Strax. So what exactly does the Green Witch fit into all this? We can sit here all day talking about Strax. So let's move on to some of the other ones. We've also got Unit. That's another one I did not listen to. It's understandably after the other Unit series I listened to. It's not very high on my priority list. But I mean, it's got Gemma Redgrave and Ingrid Oliver reprising their roles as Kate Stewart and Perenella Osgood. And they're basically facing off against all the regulars that unit used to go up against. You can see here the Autons, the Silence also show up.
Nice.
Some Daleks, obviously, some Sontarans, Cybermen. The War Master also shows up. There's Joe Grant. There's some Silurians and Sea Devils. And I believe that's Braxiatel in the back, I think.
I don't know. Oh, you mean that dinosaur that was up in the top of the tower?
No, the...
Oh, the character. I have no idea. I've never seen him before in my life.
I know it's pretty far away, and I can't really pick out his name from the... Oh, no, wait, hold on. No, that's John Benton. Dude!
Sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast list. Richard Franklin and John Levine. They brought back Sergeant Benton and Captain Mike Yates. The staples of the John Pertwee unit era. Well, I gotta check this out now.
I know the name Yates. I do recognize that name. I was going to say, it also has to have the benefit of not having the writers of the previous unit series.
Yeah. So yeah, this one's not really a spin-off necessarily. It's more of an annual special, but I feel like it's important to bring it up.
Of course.
It's the 8th of March. It's just an annual thing focusing on the women of Doctor Who.
Yeah, okay, so basically it's like an Avengers style team up.
Yeah, an A-Force, because A-Force was the all-female superhero team.
That's right.
And you can see right here, I mean, from left to right, you got Ace, Bernie Summerfield, Jenny, Vastra, Kate Stewart, Osgood. No, that's not Osgood. That's one of the other unit people. But yeah, River Song and Leela, some of the strongest and toughest.
You said that's not Osgood?
No, that's not. Hold on. Let me just.
That is indeed Osgood. That's Ingrid Oliver.
No, that is Osgood. I'm sorry. There's another unit female character from the Capaldi era that makes an appearance in the second one.
See, I thought you mentioned it was a Silurian version of her. That's why I thought you were going with that.
I mean the Zygon version.
That's the one.
Yeah, and the second one, which I don't have the picture right here, but it's got Jenny in there. It's got the other character, the Peter Capaldi character that I mentioned earlier. Joe Grant is there. Yeah, so it's just an annual thing that they do for the women of Doctor Who.
Nice.
And speaking of the lovely ladies of Doctor Who, how about the Lady Christina de Souza?
I love Lady Christina.
Yeah, Michelle Ryan shows back up, and we actually get to learn more about her. Her father, which she mentioned in Planet of the Dead, shows back up. She's still flying around the planet Earth with her 200 bus, escaping Interpol and UNIT all at the same time. Yeah, she's fighting aliens and trying to steal alien technology, but not for her own gains. Well, sometimes for her own gains, but mainly to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Because she's a criminal, but she's not a bad guy.
Yes.
And, Donna's mother shows up at one point. There's some Sontarans in there. There's some Slitheen in there. And they're already on their second box set, as you can see here. There's even an episode taking place in the Australian outback. There is so much to explore with this character. And speaking of the lovely ladies of the David Tennant era.
Yeah, she was definitely, before we go on to that, she was definitely one of my favorite one-offs that we had.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And speaking of another favorite one-off.
Just as much as Jenny, the Doctor's daughter, still running around the universe, riding around, saving planets, and destroying spaceships, namely her own. She goes to a different spaceship every single episode. And she actually has a sidekick, or rather a companion, if you will. That's him standing right behind her, played by Sean Biggerstaff.
Sean Biggerstaff.
Does the name sound familiar to you, Mr. Soda?
Well, it's jogging something, but I don't know where I can pull it from.
Oliver Wood.
No! Oliver Wood? Really?
Yeah, Oliver Wood and George.
His name.
Sean Biggerstaff. As you can see, they have a second box set. Doria Maldavar shows up. There's an episode set in the Old West. Some Cybermen show up.
What is that Cyberman?
Yeah, it's a certain version of a Cyberman.
Wow.
And there's this old lady cyborg bounty hunter chasing them. It's a crazy, crazy show. So a series, I should say. And speaking of staples of the Rosalind Davies era, what about the lives of Captain Jack. Because this had to be a thing at some point, right?
You'd think, yeah, because the dudes had lived for how long?
Billions of years, potentially.
Yeah.
This series is basically Captain Jack at different points in his life. Basically, just think about this. Any time at all that Captain Jack had existed, they made a story about it. From his days back in the time agency, from right after the Doctor left him in the year 200, 100.
Good, because I always wondered how the hell he got off.
Yeah, it's somewhat explored in this one. The time that he spent as the Master's prisoner in the year that never was, right after the end of time. If you want to know what happened after he met Alonzo Frame in that space bar, that's also explored here. He also went on a date with. Nope, not. Well, I don't want to spoil it for you, but don't get your hopes up. He also went on a date with Jackie Tyler.
Of course he did.
As well as River Song, because why the hell not?
Yeah.
And he even met the Sixth Doctor.
That I like.
There's
now,
even
what's the earliest point in Earth time that he appears in that series?
The earliest point in Earth time?
Yeah, like what part? Yeah, what point? What period of in Earth? What period in our history? I guess.
Technically speaking, the year 27 AD, but that was mainly after his brother. This is the season finale of Torchwood season 2, by the way. So I'm spoiling it for you, but
which I've seen.
Brother, I forgot. So his brother took him there and buried him underneath where the city of Cardiff was going to be built.
Right.
Kill him for hundreds of years. So that's, at least as far as I know, that's the earliest point in history that we met him.
Nice.
That we see him in. And speaking of some David Tennant's staples, we talked earlier about the Doctor, the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe was your first episode ever. First episode that I ever watched of Doctor Who was New Earth, and this, technically speaking, is a one-off, Tales from New Earth, but it takes the planet New Earth and just fleshes it out 1,000 times over. We see the city of New York. We see the new forests. I think it was the new Amazons. We see Nest City. We see New Cairo. All kinds of different locations from New Earth, with Anna Hope reprising her role as Senator Haim, not Novice Haim, Senator Haim.
Awesome.
And Ajoya Ando, who played Martha Jones's mother.
I was going to say, yeah.
Reprises her role as one of the matrons from the Sisterhood of Sisters of Plenitude. James Dreyfus made his Big Finish debut as the most exalted High Persian, the sort of king of all the cat people on New Earth, which is how they picked him to play the Master after playing that role. There's so much to explore in New Earth.
Who's the guy that's front and foremost on that image? Him, yeah. Who's that?
This is Kieran Hodgson. You see his name at the top. I can't remember. I think his name might be Luke or something. But yeah, he's basically Senator Haim's protege.
Okay.
He's the main character in this series, and you can see right at the back, you can kind of see the 10th Doctor.
Yeah.
Once again, David Tennant is a no-show, but this guy sort of narrates his lines whenever, because, just similar to the Churchill stuff. So yeah, like I said, you get to see some sky penguins and solar bears. You get to see bird people. This is a must-have. Unfortunately, as far as I know, it did not do well.
Oh.
So that's why they never went with another one. This needs a sequel, people. This needs another one. This needs to be a thing. More Tales from New Earth, please. I'm begging you here.
Hashtag Tales from New Earth.
Hashtag bring back New Earth. So I think we should end this with the Holy Trinity of David Tennant companions, starting, of course, with.
Are you saying that they all appeared in a Big Finish set together?
I did not say that.
Okay, sorry, I jumped to conclusions.
Yeah, easy, Tiger. Lay down before you hurt yourself.
Yeah, there's the Lion King reference.
So yeah, starting, of course, with the main woman herself, Donna Noble
Right.
in Donna Noble Kidnapped.
Who's that? Please tell me that's her best friend that she always references.
Not Neris, but the other one.
Okay.
So basically, a little bit of a background after the events of the library episodes. She was hit pretty badly, and she needed some time off from the doctor and from space travel. So the doctor brought her home to be with her family for a little bit, and then disappeared. No one knows what happened to her. So then she has to start investigating some stuff to figure out where the doctor went, and ends up fighting aliens while she's pretending to be the doctor. Again, stop me if you've heard this before. But yeah, she goes through all space, and she goes to another planet. She goes to medieval times, because I don't know if you know this, but the doctor is basically Merlin.
I heard that somewhere. I had heard that somewhere.
The seventh Doctor specifically, he's Merlin.
Yeah. Okay. I remember which one. I had either heard it or I'd read it somewhere. I'm like, yeah, I mean that checks out.
Yeah. So so she's pretending to be the Doctor, who everyone thinks is Merlin because of the blue box. And obviously, this is one of the ones where David Tennant actually does show up right at the very end, sort of a kind of, I believe Tennant also shows up at the very end of the first. I
would hope so, because I mean, considering he is married to the doctor's daughter.
To another doctor's daughter, I should say.
Speaking of which, did you ever see her tweet that she put out years ago? It's like, how many doctors does it take to screw in a light bulb? And there's Peter Davison on the ladder. There's Tennant underneath him helping him.
Yeah, I think it was backward. I think it was Tennant on the ladder,
right,
helping him. But
yeah, also one of my favorite Doctor Who memes is when somebody asked Davison, "What's the weirdest thing that a fan has ever given you?" Like, oh, I don't know. And someone was like, "A grandchild." It's true.
And also, in one of the big finish ranges, several of the big finish ranges, Peter Davison's nephew acts alongside his uncle, the Fifth Doctor, and he mentions in the behind the scenes feature. So yeah, like my uncle is the Fifth Doctor, my cousin is the Doctor's daughter, and sort of my brother
is probably the most iconic Doctor in a while.
Yeah, and also we mentioned earlier the monk.
Yep.
So basically, this is a bit of a tangent, but the original meddling monk from the 1960s, the William Hartnell era, was played by Peter Butterworth. His son, David Butterworth, I think, was a really good friend. Still is a good friend of Peter Davison, and he's the one that introduced him to his wife, his current wife.
Oh, cool.
It's all within the
makes his mom, Mrs. Buttersworth. That's so funny.
Yeah, thank you for that. So speaking of keeping it all in the family, what about one of the most iconic families in the Doctor Who universe, especially during the Davis era, the Tylers. Rose Tyler, the Dimension Canons. Fun fact, Russell T Davies was originally planning to do a Rose Tyler spin-off after Billie Piper left Doctor Who. He was going to call it...
Probably makes that whole she's living with that alternate doctor on the alternate time thing make more sense.
No. This is before that.
Really?
That. He wanted to do a Rose Tyler Earth Defender alongside the Torchwood series, but then it fell apart. So it never really happened.
Is that why Martha kind of got shifted into that role? Because she kind of did stuff with Torchwood as well.
I think so. Yeah.
That would make sense.
It was going to have Rose Tyler with the alternate world Torchwood. But this one is basically the lead up to the Stolen Earth and Journey's End. It's basically Rose Tyler jumping from parallel universe to parallel universe.
So it's a prelude. It's like a prequel of sorts.
Yeah, prelude to when she met Donna Noble in Turn Left. And as you can see here, her mom shows up. She's a regular on the series, played by Camille Kaduri again. Sean Dingwall is back as Pete Tyler. And can you guess who the guy in the back is?
That one, it's either two people. It's either the guy that ran him over or it's Clive.
That's Clive.
Okay, I thought so. I'm like, he looks familiar.
Yeah, she actually traveled to another parallel universe where he's alive, and she brought him there from another Earth to the other Earth to join them in their Torchwood stuff. And obviously, in every episode, you get an alternate version of Jackie Tyler, an alternate version of Pete Tyler. At one episode, she even meets this guy called Rob, and they go to a restaurant together. They have a conversation. They laugh. They start flirting with each other. The guy takes her home to meet his parents, and his father is Pete Tyler, which would make him a male version of her. She basically fell in love with herself.
Ew.
And surprise, surprise, he's actually in a gay relationship with Mickey Smith.
Oh, that's even better. I love it.
Unfortunately, he's not making an appearance on this series. However, remember Clive's wife in the episode of Rose?
Yeah, vaguely.
She's back. And I'll tell you something else. The actress quit acting shortly after the thing, and the Big Finish team made a point to try and find her to bring her back to reprise the character. They couldn't find her, and then just completely by chance, by luck, by fortune, they managed to track down somebody who was familiar with her and had her contact information. So they brought her back for a few episodes of this series. And more to the point, the Dimension Canon Volume 2 also came out this week.
Cool.
And I think what better place to end this with the most recent spin-off on Big Finish, but also my personal favorite modern series companion with The Year of Martha Jones.
Hold on. Wow. I think you've actually mentioned this to me. This is the lost year, pretty much.
Yeah, the year it was.
Yeah. That I like. Because you're watching that episode, they do the jump, and you're like, well, what the hell is she up to? I mean, clearly, if you're 50, you know what she was up to, but.
Yeah, so basically, a lot of the stuff that's mentioned in that episode after the time jump, a lot of it gets addressed here. Like, for example, the disc, which has the information of how to kill a Toclafane. Mm-hmm. She acquires it in this box set. And also basically it's exactly what she says in that episode. She traveled the world telling stories, and every episode it's a different location. She keeps moving. She's always on the move. She keeps finding new places to where there's people and refugees. And she keeps telling them stories about the Doctor, some of which we have seen in the show, some of which are completely original to this box set. And obviously, as you can see here, Ajoya Ando also reprises her role as her mother. Don't ask me how that happened, because that's a spoiler. So, and also the Toclafane show up, and her best childhood friend is there. I will say this, not a fan of the first episode, but the rest of the series is just spot on. This is the Martha Jones I wanted it to be. And there's talks that they're potentially doing another one. So I think I've given you all, both you, Soda, and anyone watching, the 5 people watching, enough material to chew on for the next 20 years of Doctor Who, right?
Totally. Like I said, I downloaded that. Oh God, I already forgot the name, but the Strax, Jenny, and Bastra. That's the one. The Paternoster. Paternoster. Where does that word come from? I've heard it outside of Who.
I'm pretty sure that's the street they live in.
No. But I've heard a different version of it. Paternoster.
Oh, I don't know. But the thing about the Paternoster gang,
you know why? You know why? Because it's also known as a passenger elevator.
Oh, okay.
Random.
So obviously, in that one specifically, there's also lots of references to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's often, because of the whole, you're like a female Sherlock Holmes. And like, no. He stole those ideas from me. He's a male version of me.
I like
and
that.
Did you know that Nicholas Briggs also plays Sherlock Holmes on Big Finish? Not Big Finish, just Big Finish original Sherlock Holmes stuff.
I didn't know that.
And there's also a crossover with that version of Sherlock Holmes and the 7th Doctor. But that is a story for another time.
I like it.
I found a way to weasel my way into the saying the outro. By the way, I mentioned Jenny, the Doctor's daughter. one of my favorite characters from the Big Finish universe that makes an appearance there, a character called Garandel. Basically, it's like a frog swindler criminal guy. But you know what? You know what my favorite line that he ever says in those Big Finish stuff is?
Stop shooting. I'm a vegan.
So that sounds so much like Nathan Lane.
Does it?
Okay.
Stop
Imagine
shooting.
Timon.
I'm a vegan.
No.
Timon.
It's not loud enough for Nathan Lane.
No, but it still sounds, it's got the inflections.
Stop shooting. I'm a vegan.
It's there's a movie, I don't know if you've seen it, called The Birdcage. It's very reminiscent of his character in there, the way he talks. It's just me, though.
Nah, I don't know. I'm not getting it. But, I mean, hey, that's just me. So, after this massive, gigantic, supersized episode, Mr. Soda, where can people find you on this fine day?
Well, you can find me pretty much all over the Northern Entertainment Group, which hosts this wonderful show, and you can also find me Friday nights over on the Blokes of Wrestling on the not Northern Group, the Let's Get Ready Network.
And that's it? You sure?
Sorry, what was that?
You sure that's it? You got nothing else?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, obviously we've got Rewind the Tape, which is every Thursdays. Ben and I, we are doing a pre-record this week because I couldn't do it last week, and we were pre-recording another one tomorrow because, well, his brother's getting married this weekend, and we won't have time. So doing that, and of course, our show, The Northern Countdown, that we do Saturday mornings, which upcoming is the top 5 Harry Potter fights from across the Wizarding world. So not just movies, it includes books, it includes Fantastic Beasts, it includes the Lego games.
Yeah, and it also includes broom fights, which we may even see Sean Bickerstaff.
Yeah.
There. And as for me, as sort of mentioned, you can find me on Northern Countdown every Saturday, most every Saturday, and every Monday on this show, on the Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I have my own YouTube channel called 50 Shades of Geek, where I started a new series where I just upload reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way up to 2022, as well as I did a couple of trailer reactions, including the reaction to the new Jodie Whittaker trailer, the final episode of Jodie Whittaker.
Which I have watched. I watched before you did your reaction.
Cool. So you can now watch me react to it. But yeah, that's me. That's everything. That's all the plugs. And you can also find Bear and Toy sleeping on couches, right?
Yep, pretty much. That's for, I guarantee you, that's where my guy is.
Okay, so until the next one, everybody. You've been listening to the Big Finish Spinoffs by the Northern Entertainment Group. The curator was played by 50 Shades of Geek. Soda, Matt Peugeot. The script editor was Matt Fitton. The producer, David Richardson. Director, Ken Bentley. Executive producers, Nicholas Briggs and Jason Haygallery.